Well, hello, wealthy women. It is Coach Tamara. I am so excited to bring you an amazingly beautiful woman who's going to share such an inspiring journey and building out her business that is so her passion, her mission. And she's such an inspiration. And just you will love this interview. So, as always, I'm going to go right over to her, let her introduce herself, tell you where you can find her work and more about her, and then all about her business and how she built it up. And then we'll get into the success questions and have a really great interview. So go ahead, take it away. Tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find you, and all of that good stuff.
So welcome everybody. Thank you so much, Coach Tamara. My name is Chaya Garcia, also known as the Epic Love Expert, here to help you get the epic love that you've always dreamed of. Because the truth is, most relationships are eh. So how do you go from eh to epic? And that's where I come in. So there's
Mm.
two main components that basically are able for you to attract epic love. And one is having high self-worth. Women with low self esteem and low self worth and who don't believe they're fully lovable are the ones that are trying to find a man who will say, well, I'll love you, I'll make your life better. And only very, very unhealthy, controlling, dominant men are really able to fit that role. So that's one component. How do you actually love yourself completely as is? And the second component is the actual education. Narcissism, addiction, mental illness, they are real things that have different behavioral and speech patterns that you can actually see on date number one. And so I have spent the past 20 years researching that and exactly putting it into the behaviors that you can see that show up immediately so that once you love yourself, you will never accidentally fall prey to someone who is not going to give you the epic love that you deserve. And
I
you
think
can
this,
find me on social at Epic Love Expert. Okay, keep going.
no, say that one more time because I don't want to interrupt you. Where can we find your work at?
Right now, just DM me on Epic Love Expert. You Google Epic Love Expert, you'll find me on all the socials. And if you're really ready to get the relationship, but you don't want to spend any more time faffing or wasting, you just book a call straight with me at connectwithchaya.com. That's connect with CHAYA.com.
I love this. It's so important. And there was a time when, let's say our teachers or, our community, our parents would try and, of course, guide us, many of us, not everybody, in the right direction on how to choose. And, I think especially when you're a young woman and it's also new and, we tend to be nurturers and people pleasers, it can be very easy to get caught into something that can last for a long time, and you're in a relationship and before you know it the years go forward, and sometimes you don't realize that you weren't in that healthy spot. It takes those learning lessons, but I love that your work is really dedicated to giving that quick focus on self love, which really is so foundational and really should be the start. But it's often not so easy, especially with young women, especially with all of the things that they think they're supposed to be like or do this. And there's so many mixed messages out there. And, a lot of times, even the best loving parents can't reach them. They may not know what's going on, or they might be so busy and all of the things. So can you share a little bit more about how does that show up in your work? Like what type of transformations, how do you lead these women to get into that place of, hey, let me take a pause here and do all the self-love and self-worth building and confidence building before I, just excitedly open the door to romance and love and attraction, because that is of course a very powerful thing that pulls you in, and it will take a little or a lot of diligence to for a woman to say, let me pause and really take a look at the whole situation, make sure I'm in check. I mean, there's so many layers to this, so maybe share a little bit about your process, how that works.
Yeah, so I basically have a mastermind group as well as private one-on-ones. And in that, you get all of the specific details of your personal life, your personal stories, what you're actually going through, your own issues with your dad or your mom and really resolve those. And that's in the one-on-ones. And then simultaneously, there's the group mastermind. So every single week on Mondays, I have a very exclusive program of women that come together. And then we work through, how do you love yourself? How do you see the signs of narcissism? How do you do forgiveness? How do you increase your self-worth? How do you replace all your fears with faith? And so every week, you're getting constant support, reminders, how to have women who are on the same wavelength as you, who says, yes, have high standards. Really, you should never be with someone who makes you feel settled or small. And so sometimes when we go out into the world, a lot of the world will tell us to settle and to just be happy with what we have, even if what we have is dangerous or unsafe or unfulfilling. And so having a really nice group of women to say, you know what, I'm living my best life. You can live your best life. You don't need to listen to all the noise. You really do deserve the best. And here's the way how to do it. It's a really powerful, transformative experience. And so I really break love up first as the main component into protection, acceptance, and forgiveness. So, how do you love yourself? You learn to accept yourself as is. You don't need to be fatter or skinnier or richer or more this or less or that or more religious or less religious or anything. Your age, you don't have to be younger or older. You to be lovable right now as is. And you don't need to work on yourself or figure out your more therapy or finally get over your daddy issues. No, right now, as is, you're 100% lovable. And so the message that I share with my clients are, you are 100% fucked up and still simultaneously 100% lovable. And nothing that you've done or that has been done to you diminishes how truly lovable you are. And so once you have that acceptance of self, you can calm down and feel like, you know what, I don't need another degree to get a client. I don't need another degree to be loved. I don't need to lose 10 more pounds or get that figured out first. Like, as is, I deserve. And then there's the component of protection. I protect my boundaries. If you're going to call me on the phone and yell at me, I hang up. If you call me at like midnight, I don't answer. If you want to sleep with me right away, inappropriate. I don't need you and your love and your attention for me to feel safe and worthy. And you remove yourself from people, places, jobs, and relationships that drain your energy because you realize you need that for you to attract good and to give out good. And the last component is forgiveness. I forgive myself for all the times I hurt myself. I forgive myself for all the times I criticized myself. I forgive myself for being in those unhealthy relationships and not knowing any better. And I forgive my parents for all the horrible, weird things they've done because they didn't know better too. And with that culmination of love, you can truly elevate your frequency, transform yourself, and therefore attract and desire very different love partners.
I mean, this is so brilliant and so necessary, the work that you're doing, because in all honesty, a lot of us women get to maybe around 50 when we start to figure this out, where we're finally like able to say, you know what? Let me see if this actually works for me, because we don't ask ourselves that. We're like, how can I serve you? How can I? And that could be beyond just the love relationship. That shows up in work, it shows up in parenting situations, uh, friends, all of the things. And what you said about boundaries is everything, because we almost don't realize we're allowed to declare our own boundaries. We don't have to ask permission for them. And somehow that approval seeking, that people pleasing that we get caught up in, and we get a little adrenaline rush, or I don't know if that's the right word, or just a feel good emotion, a serotonin hit when someone just, love bombs us or something like that. Like it just elevates us. But this is really giving someone else the control over when they can make you feel good or not good. And then you didn't create that foundation of how to recognize it. And that's what I was saying. Before you know it, you're swept up in some sort of quicksand. I think, many of us women, myself included, have gone through this. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person that you are in that relationship with doesn't have beautiful qualities. Most likely they have amazing qualities, or else you probably wouldn't have fell for them. But there are some qualities that are, regardless of how good they are, there are some qualities that are just not acceptable. And this is a lot of the reasons women wait and stay 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, because it's the, well, he's really nice in this way and he's really great in this way. And it's confusing. And that's understandable. And I love this part about the forgiveness, because this is the part where it makes sense to forgive yourself, because it's not your fault that someone has certain behaviors that, whether they're really beautiful or not beautiful, regardless, those are someone else's behaviors. And if they affected you in whatever dimension, you know, you have to forgive yourself, right? And allow yourself. So tell me a little bit more. I love also the fact that you have these one-on-ones, so someone can just feel like they can just share everything without an audience, right? This is the safe, sacred space that you offer. And then coming into the group thing. Now, I love the idea of this group, affirmation, confirmation, appreciation, all of the beautiful things that make a woman thrive. And it almost made me think about, in a similar fashion, how many of us women that are doing online businesses have family members or friends that have no clue what we're doing. They think we're off our rockers to sit behind a computer, and they don't get it. And it can really bring us down if we don't also find a group of other women doing online businesses that are rooting for us and saying, you're okay. It's just a different type of work, but there's nothing wrong you're doing. And I love that you have this group for the love part of life, the relationship part of life, that, if the outside world can't get it, you supply them a support group, which lets them feel good and safe and start to build up. So yeah, share a little bit, like, what is your biggest mission with this work that you're doing? Like, why does this get you up every day with joy in your heart, and have your brain going and going because you just want to keep helping and serving? And what is the big overview mission that you see for your life?
Yeah, I mean, such a really great question. Just to like give a little note to what you said, the transformation that the women receive through one-on-ones and the group coaching is something that increases their finances as well. Most millionaires and billionaires, and if you watch School of Hard Knocks, the cute James who goes around and asks all the millionaires, you will see so many of them say the number one way that impacts your business if you make money or you lose it all is your marriage, is your relationship, who you marry. And so it's so important for women, especially if women want to make more money, want financial stability, want emotional stability. Your relationship directly impacts that. Because if you're drained, either feeling so lonely or sad, or you're dealing with trauma and confusion, it really removes your focus on building your business the way that you want, on making more revenue, on hitting your health goals, because so much of it is trying to keep the relationship alive or stable. And it very much detracts from the true growth and purpose that you're meant to achieve financially, emotionally, and physically. So it's like almost necessary to get
Yes,
yourself in a good, healthy relationship with self, and then, God willing, a good partner. And then in
yes. And
regards, yeah, you go.
oh, I was just to
Yeah.
piggyback on that personally, like when I was younger, I just was like people pleasing. I wanted to be loved. That's my love language, words of affirmation, that type of thing. And I didn't necessarily have my boundaries in place, all of the things. It took me a little while and a couple really great books to learn, but I also unfortunately had very lovely humans that just had a couple things wrong. And not only did that affect me in other ways, like the emotional part you're talking about, but it directly hit me financially, not because necessarily that I this was my personal story where I wasn't unable to say make the money, but I that threatened my partner because they weren't established with their own confidence, and I got sabotaged and I lost financial assets. So whether or not your self-esteem, women, directly relates to your bank account is absolutely true. Whether it makes you feel so good about yourself because you have healthy boundaries that you are more successful in your money making activities, but also on the flip side, if you already have money or a healthy relationship with finances and you choose the wrong person, you are potentially, not always, but potentially putting yourself at risk, that that person will silently potentially sabotage you and you can lose even your assets that you've earned. Unfortunately, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. This is exactly why I became a money coach for women, because I saw us allowing too much and there were no hard boundaries, and there needs to be. And so go ahead, finish what you were saying, but I just wanted to piggyback on that because finances and all of it are, it's also related. Yeah,
No, I love your piggyback, and I'll totally answer your mission question in a second. Like, I love your piggyback because I think it's important for women to hear you want financial freedom. It's directly tied to your relationships, your love, your emotional freedom that you've contained, that I am free because I choose me, because I love me, because I need me. I don't need or want you to tell me you love me if it's not through consistent and action and prioritization, because that's not going to get my goals met. So it's so important for us as women to say, I do need love. It is a real need. I mean, they've studied the monkey babies and they said, I gave you food as a baby, I gave you water as a baby, but the babies that didn't receive love and affection perished. It's a real human need to have love, attention, touch. So I get it. You need it, you want it, you crave it, you're seeking it. I get it. But it comes from the self and God first. And you cannot really accurately and objectively and with full faith choose the right partner for you if you're in a state of need and in a state of void, because only a man with controlling issues or unhealthy issues will be the perfect match to fill that void, because then they have the power that you need them. And only a very unhealthy man wants that type of power because it's not for good.
that makes
So,
sense.
how many women lost their money, or they had money and then they attracted an unhealthy man and then paid for all of his bills, or all of a sudden something happened in his life and then she was paying all of his stuff, or even his mom's stuff, or whatever. And so
Yeah,
I've seen it
so many
over and over
stories.
again. Yeah, wealthy women or successful women don't have the self-worth, and they attract a man who doesn't match them or elevate them, and they
Yeah.
drain their energy and resources with this man who's not truly their right partner
And
or
I
epic.
just actually,
Yeah.
I always like bring things back to business because this is, who
Yeah.
this is for, all these women growing these businesses for that self empowerment and everything, and that strong foundation of self love and self support and all of the good things. But this kind of even filters into, when you need that approval, you want to give away things because you're hoping and you probably do receive some goodness back. And it's kind of like it's a circle, right? I just wanted to focus on social media for a while. All of us are on it and we know about trolls and we hear it all. This is another thing, we feel really good when a good comment comes and it builds us up, right? But then if there's one person out there that has some negative comment, we can't take that on either and let that deplete us. So all this message, women, is expanded. It goes for everything, whether it's your physical health, your relationship health, your money health, your business health. Basically, anything outside yourself doesn't determine you. Well, and that means too that you be careful riding the high highs of all the compliments and the let's say just fame and glory, because then you could also crash when the some negative stuff comes in. The key is to be so grounded within yourself and balanced and have your boundary and self-love that no high or no low can throw you off. And it's not easy. It is absolutely not easy, but it's necessary. And that's why we have you to help women to, because this is such a big deal. So okay, and the big mission, and then we'll get into some success questions.
I love it. I love it. It is really important to have yourself contained, where I love me, I protect me, God protects me. I don't need other people to make me feel worthy or tell me if I'm doing a bad job and then I fall apart. Like, my sense of self is beyond criticism or acclaim, because I'm not doing things just for my own weakened ego, because I've nurtured and loved up on myself so much. So huge. My mission is like threefold. One is people like my mom, beautiful, intelligent women who didn't know how to love themselves and didn't ever get epic love. I mean, she's still alive. God willing, maybe she'll get Epic Love. But love, Epic Love really means that you are loved instead of exchange. So the opposite of love is exchange. So love is I prioritize you. You're the only woman in my life. There's consistency and calm. Okay, so that's what it's marked with. Exchange is lots of highs, lots of lows. There's amazing moments, great sex or great affection, or he took you on a wonderful trip or bought you a gift. Amazing. And then also, he hits you or he verbally abuses on you or he cheats you or he's has a porn addiction or he's smoking pot, he doesn't and he neglects your needs, he is drinking alcohol and has rage issues, and you try to cover up all of the different forms of neglect or abuse, which neglect is a form of abuse, with the moments of good, thinking that you won't be able to get out of that relationship because it will mean a fear of failure or a fear of abandonment. Like if I leave, then I will be afraid to be left alone forever and then I won't make it, or a failure and I won't be able to make it without him either. So, what my mom is one is that I've seen many, many times through my mother and my clients, beautiful, intelligent, sweet, kind women with the biggest assholes in the world. And you would think, oh, she's so smart, she's so beautiful. Of course she's going to get married to a wonderful man. And it's not true.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to love yourself and you don't know the signs, you end up with really fucked up people. Another part is the women on my podcasts. So on my podcast, I have a podcast now, and it started like a month. Well, whenever this airs, it started. It's called the 100% podcast. You're 100% fucked up and 100% still simultaneously lovable. And so on this podcast, I've had beautiful women come on, and successful women, smart women, all the good stuff. And like significant percentage of them have had guns put to their head by their spouses who threatened to kill them. And it was only after that point did they then take their kids or take themselves and leave. And now I've heard this story over and over and over again. And as I'm saying this, I want to cry and I'm giving myself the chills. Because on one hand, it seems like an extreme case. What do you mean not everyone has guns put to that? And on the other hand, I've literally heard this over and over and over, and like almost as if the prevalence is not spoken about enough. The sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, it's not spoken about enough. And so one is all these stories of all these women that I have spoken to. It's not a book. It's not 20 years ago. It's now. So it's my personal life, my all of the clients, all of my podcast guests. And then the third component is me. When I was 14 years old, I was very not in a good headspace, and I promised myself that I would never hurt myself or end my life or do bad things to myself because I'm going to push through all this pain and transform it for my baby girl. And then when
Mm.
I was in relationships when I was older, I would think, is this the relationship that I pushed through all that pain for to create a family for this baby girl that I live for? And a lot of the times it wasn't. And so I had to push myself through even more pain to end these relationships that I was so in love with, because it wasn't for the safety and the functionality and the stability that I deeply desired to create for my child that I was going to bring into the world. And now that I'm in an extraordinary marriage and I am in an epic love and I have my baby Amuna, which means faith, and I have my little girl and my home is functional and stable, she gets to live a life that I couldn't have provided her if I didn't have this information. And so I do it for the millions of children in the world that exist now and that will exist after me.
That says everything. And it's so even personal to me when I was going through one of my youngest relationships. Fabulous. He was my best friend. We had so much fun together. It really was beautiful in so many ways, except for one little quality. It wasn't heavy, heavy duty, but it was. And it had to do with him not being able to handle money. And however, I remember my mother said, and this was a 7 year relationship, and it was like, it took everything for me to break up with him because he really was my best friend. And it was almost like an addiction, like you couldn't really call that much wrong, right? And it was even more insidious to be able to call it. My mother said to me one day, and I love this because you were future manifesting what you wanted for your baby girl that didn't exist at that time. And because I was so confused, I was in my early 20s and I couldn't figure it out perfectly. My mother said to me one day, she said, maybe you can't do it for you, see it for you, but imagine if you had a little girl, would you want this for that little girl? I mean, when that little girl grew up and had a boyfriend, would you want that type of boyfriend? Even though he's magic in so many ways, there's one part that's not good. Would you want that? And it was like, oh, okay, I got it. And that was it. And so sometimes I guess what I'm sharing this with all of you women listening, and just how you most beautifully explained, beautiful, really, that's manifesting right there, is if you can't, women, like, think about it from your own perspective because you're so much in it. Step outside of yourself and imagine, if you don't already have children, imagine that child you might like. And if you're not into having kids, imagine it's a cat or a dog or an animal, just
Or
something you
you
want
when
to.
you're little, or you can
Yes,
see yourself
exactly.
as a
Your
small
little girl
girl.
self. Love that. Exactly. Whatever it is, step outside of you in the moment because you probably are so clouded. It's very difficult to be able to be clear, and objective. But it's easier when you imagine it has nothing to do with you or even your best girlfriend that you love so much. Would you want that for her? Right? Or would you want it for your mom? Whatever. Just get out of yourself and think about it from a different perspective, and it could really be like, oh wow, okay, no, of course I wouldn't, and then you're clear, and then you just take good steps forward, right? So I love the work that you're doing. I love it because it's so important. Love is a part of life. It starts right away as children. It is always going to be a part of our life to receive love and give love. It's the joys of life, appreciation, all of that good stuff. So if it's that important and we'll start with our life and continue throughout it, we need to get it right. And I love that this is your work to help people get it right because we can get so caught up and lost and waste time and lose parts of ourselves. And when we don't have to, it is not necessary to suffer for love. It's not. We don't
It's
need
not
any,
love then.
it's, yeah, exactly. It's not necessary. So, okay, we're going to flip it now and we're going to
Okay.
go into some success questions because I really want any woman who is currently building their business or is considering to build their business to know that they're not alone, to feel inspired and to go for it because this is also a form of self-love. When you are building your business of something that really brings fulfillment to your heart, makes you happy, of course there's going to be like it bumps along the road and you're going to wonder maybe it's not meant for me. And when these success story interviews are listened to by women, they realize, oh, wait, I'm not alone. She went through that too. Okay, if she could do it, I could do it because look at her now. So be inspired, women, and take what you can from this and always encourage your other fellow women in your life as well, regardless of if they're starting a business or not. Just always be an empowering person to other women because we all need each other, right? Okay, so we did this amazing part. I love your work so much. It's beyond, it's not even a business, it's a movement, it's a mission, it's a foundational piece. And good for you because you're blessing and will continue to bless so many. So, okay. Oh la la. Let's see. What would be your number one professional tip for women to grow their business?
Get really clear on the impact that you want to have on the world. Business, money, Tony Robbins, who's a billionaire, just was speaking about this. And, it's a very spiritual practice. If you do it for the money, 97% of businesses over 10 years fail. Most of them were doing it for the money. I don't know if it's 97, it's 90 something percentage. And they're focused on the money and they're focused on how much money they can get. But the percentage, that small percentage that survives, it was never about them. It was always about the mission, the purpose, the impact, the growth, something beyond them. And if you're really focused on just yourself and your ego and like, I just need a lot of money to have a lot of freedom, but without having it be supported by truly transforming, helping, changing people, and whether it's with a product or a service or whatever you're doing, um, it doesn't hold up through life's bumps, challenges, and trials. So, first understand how you want to impact. Like, what's your avatar? Who do you want to work with? Who do you enjoy working with? Who it's not a strain to work with? What makes you cry? Like, I can talk about what I talk about and cry in a second because it's so dear to my heart. And Sarah Blakely speaks about that a lot. Like, what topics make you cry? Like, that's so powerful to you. And Sarah Blakely, one of the female billionaires who's my good neighbor and friend, she basically was saying, I didn't do it just to make $1 billion or $1 million. I did it because I genuinely cared about women and trying to find a product that would benefit them. And so, with whatever you do, you need to think about it not for you, but how you use your money for good to transform the world. So, it's great to have millions of dollars. Do it. Let's go. You have to
Yes,
also
yes.
think, what am I going to use my $1 million for that's going
Right.
to give my life fulfillment as well as better the world?
Wow, I love that. So you are friends with the Spanx creator. That's
She's in my
fabulous.
neighborhood. She lives like a few miles down, and I'm friends with her husband, Jesse
Love.
Itzler. He was my business coach when I met him
Fantastic.
2 years
And you're
ago.
so right about money in the hands of women is truly going to make such a difference because as much as you have a beautiful heart to help, if you don't have a cash account to help that, you can only help so many. So this goes into my line of work where, money mindset stuff. So any of you women who feel like you're not deserving of money or you can't ask too much or whatever that focuses on yourself. Again, it becomes about somebody else. If you can get past your money blocks, then you'll be able to bring in more money so that you can help more women or others thrive, children, animals. It doesn't matter what is your mission. The more money you have, the more you can support your mission. So if any of you are struggling, with self-love to get healthy relationships or money love issues, you see how this is a full package scenario. For you to show up and be your best self, you need to have your confidence in all areas of your life so that you can create a beautiful family and have your children have a beautiful set of parents or have your business be a blessing beyond your needs because as soon as you make so much it's not going to make that much difference, but what can you do with that money to help others? So there's just so much here. It's so good. It's so really like a full rounded circle of how this is not about us at all. It's really about how we can serve others. So love. Okay. What qualities would you say that every entrepreneur should at least have? Like maybe what are the top three that you really think this needs to be made a priority because it really does matter.
One is faith. I
Mhm.
think if you stay too stuck in fear, fear creates inaction, confusion creates inaction. And if you don't take enough action, you can't actually move your business in the right direction fast enough to make it worthwhile. So, one is faith. You have to take all your fears and be like, I feel them, I see them, I'm afraid to call them, I'm afraid to ask, I'm afraid to do this, I'm afraid to public, whatever it is. And then you switch it over to faith and you say, you know what? I can public speak. I can ask for 10K. I can do this. But one is the faith. You really have to get honest with your fears and be like, my fears can't stop me. What's the faith version of this? So like I will lose all my money as a fear versus I will know how to keep my money and find the right people to teach me how. So you just find your fears, you replace them into the positive faith-based affirmations. You don't let them dictate you and stop you in action. The second one is humility. A huge part of making money is losing money. A big part of making money is investing money. A big part of making money is spending money. It's just millionaires spend money to make money and poor people save money. And so when I
Yeah.
was becoming into my wealth journey, I was like, oh, poor people save their money. Rich people spend
Yeah.
it because they invest, they go into debt, they hire this, they buy more systems. I was like, okay, it's like a total different reframe, like the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like it's a whole different world.
Yeah. And I have to go in on this one
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that you brought that out because also if you're saving your money because you think that's going to make you rich and ultimately it makes you poor, you're hoarding it because it's a fear. Again, you just said fear in the first one,
Right.
right? It's fear again. And the other thing is money is energy, and so you have to have that faith. energy. It needs movement and cannot stagnate. So, it needs to be spent. It needs to be invested. It needs to be given away, because what that ultimately is saying is there's plenty more. There's plenty
Right.
more. And once you start to make that shift, you wouldn't believe it. There have been way too many times where I hesitated to buy something. And I'm like, as soon as I released it and bought it, somehow a client just came in, or somehow this money showed up. It's too coincidental to be not noticed. So I love that. Also, when you were first saying about the fear part, and the mistakes and all the things, this is another thing, women. Think back to some of those mistakes that you give yourself such a hard time on and you maybe have some regret over. I'm sure if you look, you will find that error, or whatever you want to call it, puts you in the current place where you're better for it. Like, for example, I had to let that past relationship go just to find my dream husband, so like
Yeah.
there are reasons for endings and things not working out, or occasionally some not so nice things happening, and you can't see it when you're in it, but when you look back, I'm sure you'll find that silver lining. So for the most part, I don't want to say everything is a silver lining, but there's silver lining. So okay, and then you were going to say the third one.
Humility. I think that
Mm,
you just need to be humble in regards to getting criticism. A lot of times, women, when we're being raised, we're taught to sit down, shut up, get a straight A, and raise your hand if you need a piss, and maybe the teacher will give you permission. And so, we're very much taught to not be loud and
yeah,
not be forward and not ask for things when we're literally taught and trained in American society not to ask. Are you hungry? No, 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 I'm fine. And they're starving. Would you like a piece of cake? No, no, no. But of course
yeah,
they wanted it. Can I
yeah.
get you some
Mhm.
water? No, no, I'm okay. But they're totally dehydrated. So, one is the humility in regards to it's okay to ask, it's okay to get criticism, it's okay to constantly work on yourself. Again, fucked up and lovable. You're
Yeah,
always going to have that duality.
yeah,
And the humility is just calming yourself down. Totally going to fuck up and make so many mistakes. I'm not even going to try not to. But the way that I manage that with grace and gratitude and joy and happiness is by realizing that I'm also lovable. And so I'm going to keep learning and I'm still lovable no matter what, 100%, not 80%. And so I can take the criticism, I can grow, I can ask for things I need, and I can come into it in a way where this isn't even my world, it's God world. The work that I do isn't only just for me, it's for how I work with God to create and facilitate growth. And so you can ground yourself and totally going to make mistakes and screw up, but that is part of the process. And
yeah,
I welcome those
yeah.
hard lessons because they don't feel good. But if I can develop a muscle where I don't crumble when things don't feel good, I will be so much more powerful and unstoppable for good.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think even Tony Robbins, again, we're referencing him here. He has said, I'm pretty sure it was him or somebody up there, said that although winning feels great, you don't grow from winning. It's great, we need it, but you don't grow. You grow from those harder times, and that pushes you forward. You realize your resilience to figure it out and go forward with it. So it is so. I always used to say from the earliest age, just fail forward. Because if you're not failing, you're not trying, you're not in the game enough. You better be failing. If you're not failing, that's a problem. So give yourself permission to fail, because you'll learn and you'll grow. And that comes back to what you said before. You have to have a bigger mission. Your bigger why has to be beyond the money, because it's a beautiful self-growth experience creating a business, right? It's probably one of the best things that you will ever do. I have a coach that also said that, but you'll know it when you're in it. And that's okay, because if you love it, this is where you get the drive to keep going. If you don't love it and you're just for the money, that's why you're not going to be in business in so-called 10 years, if not a lot less. So it's very, very important to follow your passion. Absolutely. So, okay, let me just go ahead and ask you another question. One of the things that I love asking, I name my company Wealthy Woman Every Day, because it's also about being wealthy in all parts of your life and making sure you're doing certain things every day to kind of reinforce that and goes well beyond money. So, do you have any particular rituals in the morning, in the evening, that you get into your this is my wealthy woman habits? And And maybe you could even bring it as a focus into the self-love part of it and healthy relationship parts of it. Like, how do you train yourself? How did you train yourself to get that perfect husband that you have now?
I mean, attracting my dream husband was a process of believing I was fully good. It took a lot of I spent a lot of money and time and energy on myself, which is why I encourage all the women listening. You can't do it alone. You're not meant to do it alone. You need a coach and someone who's where you want to be so that they can kind of see when you're lying to yourself and guide you back to
Mhm.
truth. So I had my own mentors that I invested my time and money into to just keep me on track, and I became an expert. The only reason I'm able to help so many women attract their epic love is because I became an expert in it, not only transforming my life, but I studied it at length through
Yes.
so many just different books and meetings and information. So just to answer the question of the schedule is I wake up early. I wake up between, like, it depends if it's summer or winter, but on average 3 or 4 a.m. It depends what time I go to bed. I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, so I get more sleep than most people. But I wake up, again, depends on the day, 2 to 5 a.m. If I go to bed at 6, it's 2. If I go to bed at, at 7, it's like 3. If I go to bed at 8, it's 4. And sometimes if I go to bed at 8 p.m., it's still 3 a.m., depending on the day. But I wake up really early because you see it in the most successful people. They wake up early. If you study all ancient texts, it says that the energy for creativity is in the early morning hours, which is why some people who are like yogis or Buddhists or this thing, all the different people, they wake up early in the morning because they got the memo. So I was like, I can just copy the memo. And I started waking up really early in the morning. So it varies, but it's when it's dark. And if you can, Grant Cardone, a very wealthy billionaire, and his wife Elena, who I also met, speak about this a lot. Wake up before the sun. Start your day. Jesse Itzler also says this a lot. Start your day so your day doesn't start you. And when you have the calm before the sun saying, wake up and get stuff done, and you can think about, what do I want? How do I cultivate this? And so I wake up every morning early. I basically drink tons and tons of liquid throughout the day. I do not overwhelm my digestive system when my energy is drained just trying to digest. And I write myself a love note every day. So I have
Oh,
this
I love that.
pad on my desk. And I literally wake up, and the first thing that I do when I sit down at my desk is I write myself a love note that I'm proud of myself, that I'm doing well, that all my dreams are going to come true, that I'm here for you. Um, and then I have affirmations to remind myself how to speak calmly to my husband, to accept him for all that he is and all that he's not. How do I engage with my children in a way that I want? Um, and then I try to do my manifestation movie. So on Canva, I have a movie of like the future that I want to bring into my unconscious and that I visualize, and me being on stages with the biggest people and all of the wonderful things that are going to happen. So I have a whole morning process where I nurture me before the whole world needs me to nurture them.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. I love the love letter to yourself because it's basically like you're marrying yourself. So you are giving yourself all the love that you may have been looking for outside of yourself so that all your tanks are full. And then if more love comes, like your husband, children, family, friends, all that, that's just like excess overflow, right? I love that. I also love this idea you just mentioned. I think it's brilliant. I kind of got an idea of what you're explaining. So you basically create using Canva, you create your own vision board, so to speak, turn it into a movie, and then watch it as your own presentation every day to us. Fabulous. I want to do this. You just gave me such a brilliant idea and brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Perfect. Okay. Well, this has been an amazing interview. I knew it would be. It is so important. I love this. Oh, and let me just say before we sign off, women, when you see this interview, it's very important that you share it. Share it with your young daughters that are old enough to hear it, and share it with your friends who need some inspiration. If you feel like they're maybe not in the right relationship, go ahead and share it. Mothers, daughters, aunts, sisters, let us just all come together and hold each other strong and wish and want the best for each other, and then teach each other how to get that, right? So because role modeling, right? Role modeling is everything. So before we sign off, can you please share again your name, the name of your company and your website? And thank you so much. This is such a very necessary conversation, and it's just one of many. And I love that you have the podcast so people can even bring in more of what you're doing here. And your Instagram lives are amazing. I've watched more than a few, and they're so great. So yeah, just share a little bit of details about what you're doing and how they find, I mean, where they can find you.
Great. So if you are a woman who wants to have epic love in your life, there are ways that I can help guide you to that and ensure that you truly have love all over in your relationships with your family, your friends, yourself, and especially with your romantic and lover. You deserve it. It is possible. You don't need to focus on all the men out there. You just need to focus on attracting your true one. You can find me at Epic Love Expert. So all my socials are Epic Love Expert, Facebook, Instagram. I'm primarily on Facebook and Instagram. I know there's other ones. And if you want and you're truly ready to book a call, the first call is totally free. It's a free discovery call to see where you're at in life, what you need, what we can get for you. And that is just www.connectwithchaya.com. So my name is Chaya, so it's www.connectwithchaya.com. And so it's my booking link. You book a call and you show up on my calendar and I say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And you're like, "I'm doing good." I'm like, "What, how's your relationships been?" And you tell me, and then we've set goals that you accomplish in a very short period of time and you transform to have the money, the love, and the health and abundance come into your life in the way that you truly deserve, that I've done many times before and I'm happy to do for you.
Love, I am so thankful for this interview. And really, I wish I heard it when I was my young 20 something self, but that's okay because we learn through all of the things in life. So, all of you women who, just forgive yourself. You did the best you could with what you had at the time. Reassess where you are right now based on this great conversation, which just is a small, tiny bit of how much more help is out there for you to really figure it out, make it even epic love, like you said. And just share this with all of your sisters, basically, because we're all part of this. And, you know, let's make a movement. Let's raise our expectations and standards. Let's mostly learn self love because it's the love that will be with you your entire life through, no matter what. You will always be with you. So make that such a beautiful relationship. Figure out what that means. I buy myself flowers. My husband buys me flowers too, but I still buy myself flowers. I make pretty little candles and all the things. It doesn't matter what it is. How you just said, write yourself a love note. Figure out what you would love to receive from a partner and then go do it for yourself. Take yourself out to a nice meal, cook yourself a gourmet meal on beautiful plates, buy yourself the woo yourself, love yourself. You are your best asset. And then once you learn how good that feels and you are deserving, and this has become standard routine behavior, you're never going to accept anything less than that. So you need to do the work. You need to build that muscle, and you have today and every day going forward. So get started and love yourself. And I think this is such an important topic. So I just got a little teary eyed. I'm so grateful for you that our paths have crossed. And now we have this beautiful, beautiful interview to share and bless others with. And this is very important stuff. So thank you so very much for being here and sharing
Pleasure.
beautiful stuff because this is life. This is love. This is all of the things that we need to have best possible life enjoyment experience we can, and then model how others should have that happening for them too. So it's not what is about you and what's great about you for yourself that you're going to gain and build and become better at. You're also, people are watching, and you are going to be a blessing to others whether you realize it or not. You are making a difference, women. So show up for you, but don't be surprised how much others are paying attention and you're leading them and inspiring them. So It's all important stuff. So, okay, I'm off my soapbox now, but it's
All right.
important and I love it. So, until next time, wealthy women, go out there and be your best selves and be good to yourself and be a blessing. And that's all for now. So, see you next time. Bye.